I've been dreaming about making this film about Baja California and the Sea of Cortez. It's just it's an amazing place, and I wanted to take people there. I initiated the project back in 1993, and we started fundraising at that time. It wasn't until 1997 that we met up with Mick Hager.
The museum chose to make this film in large format so that we could make a film that was actually as big and as impressive as the region itself.
It's been a great partnership, and since that time, it took us about 2.5 years to produce the film completely. So.
The San Diego Natural History Museum partnered with Pro Natura, Mexico's oldest and largest conservation organization, to partner with in the making of this project. It was the Pro Natura expertise, along with the San Diego Natural History Museum expertise, that made it possible to put together a scientifically accurate, very exciting film.
This is a nature film, but it's also a love story about the scientists and naturalists featured in the film and the passion that they feel for the nature around them.
Working in Baja California is incredibly exciting for me because we're constantly discovering new phenomena, new species, new interactions, new ecological processes.
I love this place because there's always something different going on. Exploring the underwater world, it doesn't matter how many times you do it, you always find something new.
I study whales on the Sea of Cortez. That's the best place to study them there because it's very diverse. There are more whales there than on both coasts of the United States. One of the best things of the Sea of Cortez is that every time I go out to work, I see something completely new. Some days I feel that I'm the luckiest person to work here in the Sea of Cortez.
The birds on Raza Island for me are like a barometer of the Gulf of California, an indicator. And they're also an example of how much energy there is in this ecosystem. The first time I got there, I felt it. And every time I get there, I feel this energy that is overwhelming. Isla Raza is very important because 95% of the world's populations of 2 seabird species are nesting there.
After spending nearly a year in Baja and the Sea of Cortez making Ocean Oasis, I fell in love with the place. The contrast of the beautiful teeming ocean and the desert was just incredible. The wildlife was fantastic, and seeing the film really takes the audience and puts them right there in the Sea of Cortez and lets them experience the same thing that we did while we were making the film.
To me, the most satisfying part of the whole process is to see the different elements of the film come together. The skill of the cameraman, the part that the scientists play in it, the editing and the soundtrack, and even the title. Selecting a title is extremely important to the success of the film.
An oasis is a place of abundance surrounded by scarcity. We wanted to use the name Oasis for the title of the film to represent the habitat heterogeneity that exists in the peninsula. There are canyons, palm forests, deserts, mangroves, all side by side with one of the richest seas on Earth.
When I first started this project, I didn't realize the entire creative process that went into the making of a large format film.
Well, a lot was due to a brilliant cinematographer, a lot of hard work, and miles of film.
In 45 minutes, the audience is going to get to experience what took us a year and hundreds of hours underwater to shoot.
In fact, we shot almost 65 miles of film over a period of 145 days, and at least half of that time was spent underwater. And each day that we shot, we probably shot for 6 hours or so underwater.
One of the challenges in filming in large format is it's hard to keep things in focus. We had to build a special camera housing that allowed us to see through the lens, so we could use close-up lenses and tell whether the subject was in focus. For the filming of Ocean Oasis, Soames wanted me to get the camera inside the personal space of these animals. We shot a shot of a scorpion fish. You could hardly recognize him because he's so camouflaged. And then his eye moves and he swims away. Soames says, "That's close, that's what I want." In order to get close to some shy animals in the water, like tuna, hammerhead sharks, we tried to be quiet. We used closed-circuit rebreathers, which don't have bubbles, and they allowed us to be sneaky on the reef. They also allowed us to stay in the water a long, long time. This was great because you could stay down there until the fish came close, until the sharks came close. But sometimes you get hungry and want to go back for lunch.
Chef extraordinaire.
Chef extraordinaire guide.
Cordon bleu.
Buenos días, espero que les gustó la machaca.
Okay.
Con café calientito.
Sí.
Aquí.
Of all the locations, I think our cave sequence was the most remote. In the San Francisco mountains outside of San Ignacio, we rode donkeys down into canyons, not unlike the Grand Canyon, along with our 600 or 800 pounds of gear. We had, I think it was 23, 24 donkeys plus a whole team of mules, not counting the crew. It was quite an experience.
It survives by averaging long dry times with occasional wet ones. A cardón lives so slowly, it may only reproduce itself once in 300 years.
Traveling in the helicopter, you can see the incredible spectrum of ecological variation of this place. You can also see how all these fragile environments are interconnected, and how important their conservation is.
I've seen sharks before, but like these, never. Being surrounded by 15 or 20 sharks at the same time, can you believe it? It is quite an experience.
Ileana Ortega comes from Mexico City, but she calls Baja California her second home, where she works on a ship as a naturalist, leading adventures for Lindblad expeditions.
Yes, I know. You might think that I'm crazy. And yes, there is fear. But when I swim with sharks, adventure calls me. I spend a lot of days just observing them and getting comfortable in the water with them. And they're just magnificent animals. They never try to attack me. They were just curious. They were curious about who I was, blowing bubbles.
I love to film sharks. Big things with teeth swimming right at you, that's real exciting. Filming sharks at night is very exciting because the action gets pumped up. Sharks are mostly nocturnal hunters. This makes for great fun and exciting film work.
At night, the shark's sophisticated senses of vibration and electroconductivity serve them best. They move faster, become more excited, and leave in search of prey. I will not follow.
In Ocean Oasis, our goal was to give the audience an experience from the macro to the micro. After all, it's easy enough for us to understand the scale on which we live, but the micro scale of life is just as interesting, in fact, maybe even more fascinating.
My favorite sequence in the film is the blizzard of little shrimp-like creatures, the mysids, that just engulf the reef. I love it when the camera comes in close on the coral reef and you see the colors of it, and then it's clouded in life. the camera rises up above it, and it looks like fog enclosing a bank. It's beautiful, and to me it symbolizes the very richness of the Sea of Cortez that we're trying to portray in the entire film.
Swimming with the mantas is one of the most incredible things I have ever done. They're just like living magic carpets. They're so huge, so powerful, and so gentle at the same time.
It's big screen, big action, big subject. I mean, a huge subject, Baja California and the Sea of Cortez, and we do our best to do it, cover it in 40 minutes.
Wonderful undertaking. It's all there on the screen, you know. Ocean Oasis is an adventure, and you get a sense of what it's like to be there and what it's like to experience these things, swimming with mantas and whales and dolphins and sharks. It's just a wonderful experience. So it's a beautiful part of the world.